Tantor with his thoughts on the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets 41-10 loss to the dreaded Clemson Tigers. We knew we were going to lose anyway, but just having it happen is definitely not good. For those of you new to Tantor's recaps and thoughts, with college football, we do not insult college athletes. They are amateurs and they are someone's kid. So we lay off of them. And even though NIL kind of makes things a little bit dicey there on the professional stage, they are not professional athletes. They're still student athletes, and we do not go after them and take them out. However, coaching, that's a different story. Those are professionals and those are big boys, and they ought to be able to handle it. If they're making millions of dollars a year, they ought to be able to handle the pressure. And at Georgia Tech, it's obvious that our head coach, Jeff Collins, cannot. I know that everybody wants to fire Jeff Collins, and I'm one of those people, but we can't because we can't afford it because our athletic department is broke. Nothing has changed since last year in that aspect of it. He still has his job, and most likely he's going to keep it through this year. So, unfortunately, we are stuck with the lame duck head coach. So what? He's now taken over defensive coordinator responsibilities, and for 3 quarters, he did a fairly decent job as defensive coordinator. The 4th quarter, it looked like his boys quit on him, but for the first 3 quarters, he did a pretty good job holding down Clemson's offense. But as a head coach, he still sucks. I have no idea what in the hell he was doing before halftime. He ought to realize that he's going to get the ball, all right? Don't run out the clock when you have the ball and you can score, and it's still a 2-score game. You could make a game of this, but evidently Jeff Collins didn't realize that. And then Dabo Swinney easily manipulated Jeff Collins into burning all 3 of his second-half timeouts in the 3rd quarter. Game management, clock management is obviously over Jeff Collins' head, but that's not a big surprise there. I do like Jeff Collins as a defensive coordinator, though, okay? The new coaching hires. I liked what we saw out there. On defense, the defensive line coach, he worked miracles because that is one area I was very concerned with in the spring game. We just don't have the bodies there and we don't have the depth that we need. And those kids on the defensive line played extremely well. In the secondary, we went in there with a bunch of transfers and a couple of kids that are staying long-term like Jalen King, who had a great night. I didn't know what to expect from Tillman. He did a good job. We didn't have Clemson receivers running all over the place wide open. All in all, the secondary looked pretty good. The part on defense that I had the most confidence in, the linebackers, is the area that I didn't think came through very well. You know, I'd give the defensive line a B+, the defensive secondary a B-, but the linebackers, I'd have to give them a C-. Even though they did make a couple of plays, hey, there were a lot of arm tackles that I saw Clemson running backs running right through. I counted 5 missed tackles for linebackers where arm tackles don't work against big-time programs. And face it, our schedule's brutal. We need to have some real tackling out there, and the linebackers kind of let me down there. And I know they're better than that. So I expect a lot of improvement there. On the offensive side of the ball, it begins and ends with Jeff Sims. I told everyone after the spring scrimmage, Jeff Sims looked really good. He's got real coaching with Winky as the quarterback coach and a good offensive coordinator in Chip Long. It shows. I swear I'd like to get the kid on a scale, but I think he put on 20 pounds of solid muscle. He ran a good game plan. He was getting rid of the ball for the most part. He was pretty much accurate. His wide receivers dropped some passes. I was disappointed in the wide receiver core. A couple of the kids played very, very well, but they have to hold on to the ball. So that's the tight ends also, and come through for their quarterback, who is standing in the pocket taking a beating behind an offensive line that just didn't cut it. I'd have to give the offensive line an F. I give the quarterback a B+. He did throw 1 interception, but his arm was hit. After that, Chip Long, he dialed down, adapted his game plan to the short passing game because he didn't want to get his quarterback killed. And I loved it. I love seeing coaching that adapts their team to the game that's going on. And that's what he did. He did a good job coaching the offense. Jeff Sims did a good job playing the offense and executing the game plan. And it just didn't work out. We were facing a better team. Offensive line, I got to give an F. They might have put forth the effort, but most of the time they didn't block anybody, which really killed our running game. And the running backs really couldn't get off, and they were doing a lot of quick outs, screens, and the offense, they sputter. If the offensive line can't get the job done, we're going to have a lot of trouble this year. And I thought that was going to happen, and unfortunately, that part did. Wide receivers, they're young, got a couple transfers in there. Got to hang on to the ball and help your quarterback out. I think they'll be okay. I really do. After seeing the ACC, how weak a couple of teams are, like UNC, Virginia Tech, I was thinking we'd win 2 games this year. I could up that to 4, maybe 5 on the outset. And that right there would be a minor miracle. But there are no moral victories. Moral victories are for losers. We lost, and Jeff Collins still is a loser. And we've got to do better. We have to do better. We got a game coming up against Western Carolina this weekend that we should win. We've got to do it. We've got to take the day. So this weekend, Western Carolina, let's continue. Let's put up a complete game and beat them.